So now we're going to go and check the approver dashboard. So as an administrator, you would have set up the company, you would have completed all the company settings, you would have added all the users onto the system, both administrators, app users, as well as approvers. And it is important to note that an app user can be an approver for a specific department. And then they would have set up, the administrator would have set up the approval statuses. So the purpose of Slipstream is to allow users to be able to capture expenses and link them to reports and then send for approval accordingly. So obviously it's critical that we have the functionality to be able to approve reports that come through. So as an approver, you will receive an email once the administrator has loaded you as a user, and the email will give you a link to the Slipstream dashboard. You will receive a username and a password. You put this in and you will log into the dashboard. You will see on the left hand side of the screen you have your navigation panel. At the top, you have got all your approvals, and then at the bottom, you are obviously also in a position that you can load your own expenses onto the system. So you've got your approvals, and then you've got the analytics of all your approvals, and then you've got your own expenses and reports at the bottom. We'll go through all of this systematically. So as an approver, your first and foremost role is to be able to approve other users' expense claims and reports. When a user sends through a report for approval, you will receive an email notifying you that you have a report that needs to be approved. On that email, you will also receive a link to your own dashboard so that you can view the report on your dashboard. Under approvals, you can go to pending reports, and under pending reports, this will give you the information on the report name, date submitted, who it was submitted by, as well as the total. If you click on that, on the right-hand side of the screen, all the information on that specific report will pop up. So you are able to see all the details of each individual expense, as well as all the supporting documentation. If you are happy with everything, you are able to press approve. If you are unhappy for any reason, you will reject the report. And in the details and the descriptor, you will put the reason that you have rejected this report. So under approved reports, these will be the list of all reports that you have approved to date. You will have the report name, date submitted, who it was submitted by. You click on that, on the specific line item, it will give you the details of every single report. It will give you the name, date, amount, as well as description, and you're able to click on the little black dot on the bottom to view the attached files. Rejected reports is the next one, and these are directly under approved reports. Rejected reports are obviously reports that you've rejected for whatever reason. On rejection, the user will receive an email detailing why you have rejected the report and give them an opportunity to rectify or change anything, and then they will resubmit it. Directly under approvals, you have got analytics. Analytics is very useful for you to be able to see in either pie, donut, or bar format details of expenses per department or per user. You simply change the details and the period in which you would like to see this, and you are able to interrogate numbers per user, per department, or per expense category. Okay, so now we have looked at the approval functionality under the approver user on the Slipstream dashboard. Now what we are going to get to is the user functionality of an approver. So i.e. when a person who is also an app user is able to approve, and vice versa. So you are able to create expenses and link expenses to reports and create reports and travel claims all on your cell phone, on your smartphone, or you are able to do it on the user dashboard. And if you click on expenses, at the top in the middle of the screen, you are able to create an expense, you're able to create a travel expense, as well as able to create a report. It is really important for you to understand that you are not able to send an expense for approval without linking it to a report. So your approver will actually approve a report with a number of expenses on it. They won't approve one individual expense. So let's start off by going and creating an expense. You go to the top in the middle on the left hand side of the screen, you click on create expense. Here you can manually obviously create the expense. You are obviously also able to do all of this through the application on your smartphone. However, if you're going to do it on the dashboard, you simply click on the date and you put the date in, you put the details of the merchant name in, as well as the expense category, bearing in mind that all expense categories would have been already predefined by the administrator when they were setting up the system. Once you have done this, you pop in the amount as well as how you incurred the cost, i.e. your payment method, whether you paid via cash, EFT, credit card, or company card. Once you have done that, you put additional descriptions and details as you deem fit and in line with your company policy, and you press the little black dot on the bottom to attach the proof of the slip. Once you have done this, you press save and you have got your expense which has been added. You'll get confirmation on the bottom right of the screen saying your expense has indeed been added. So now I'm going to take you through how to create a manual travel expense on the dashboard. So you go all the way to the top under expenses, you click the little plus button, create travel expense, and you're good to go. The system allows you to either create a travel expense through linking to Google Maps or putting in your manual odometer reading. Should you link to Google Maps, you click on the left under Maps, you put your to as well as your from, so where you're traveling from actually and where you are going to, as well as the date, the trip type, whether it is one way or return, and you add details of the trip. What it will do is it will link on the back end in terms of the rate per kilometer that's reimbursable, and it will calculate that and link it to your claim. Should you do an odometer reading, you click on odometer, you put your starting odometer reading, your end odometer reading, the date, whether it's return or one way, as well as the descriptor, and you press save. Once you have created this, you will receive the confirmation on the bottom right of the screen, and you're good to go. So you can spend the day, week, month creating expenses and travel expenses, and if you are in a position that you need to send them for approval, then what you do is you create a report. So you will simply go under expenses or under reports, and at the top, on the top right, you click on the little plus button that says create report, and you create your report name. In this instance, I'm going to call it January 2018. This will be dependent on how regularly you submit reports for approval. So some companies will do it weekly, monthly, some will do it every 2 months. This is totally dependent. So I've said here January 2018, and I've pressed the little plus button, and we're good to go. You can see that your report has been created. Once you have created your report, what it will give you is all of the list of all expenses that haven't been linked to a report yet. What you will do is on the right, you will click on the little box and you will link the specific expenses to the report that you've just created. Once you've done that, you simply press save, and what you have done is you've created a report, you've linked the specific expenses to the report, and you are now ready to go and send it for approval should that be required. Further to that, so we have now covered expenses and created expenses. Directly under created expenses are archived expenses. These are obviously expenses that you have created but that you haven't sent for approval, nor have you linked to a report, and you've simply archived them. This could be for a means of tracking things. It could be simply to just keep track of personal information, work information, if you're running your own business, whatever the case might be. You can list expenses per supplier, date, week, whatever suits you. All right, so next section is to go under reports. So under reports, we've got created reports, which is what we have just done now. And if I click on created reports, I will see my report for January 2018. Currently, the progress will show that it is in draft. If I am in a position that I am ready to submit it for approval, I simply click on the report. On the right-hand side of the screen, the details of the report comes up, and I can either archive the report or I can submit it for approval. I am also able to obviously edit what is on that report, so should I wish to delete specific expense items that are on there, I go and click on the little red X and that expense item will be deleted from the report. If I press submit the report, what it will do is it will say report has been submitted, and it will go into pending reports. Under pending reports, what it does now is it has notified the approver that the report needs to be approved, and we will wait for them to approve it accordingly. Once you have received approval of the report, you will go under approved reports and you will see all of your information. Directly under approved reports, you've obviously also got archived reports. This is dependent on how you are using the system, whether you're using it for claiming, etc., or whether you just keep using it for purposes of keeping information. Further to that, if we go back up to created expenses, I just want to take you through the various options in terms of editing an expense. So if we go and we create an expense again, and we put in the date, and we put in the merchant name, the expense category, we stipulate whether the claim is reimbursable or not, we put in the amount and the payment method and the descriptor, and I save the expense, what it will do is it will give me an expense under created expenses. Now if I click on that expense, under maintenance, I've got 4 options. I can either, the little green with a pencil is either to edit the expense, the black box with a plus sign in it is to link the expense to a report, the red X is to obviously delete the expense, and then you've got your little archive box. So those are the options in which to edit or maintain your expense.